Yo, what's happening, baby? This is a Flaming Sword Musing, and I am Kamsin Khan. I know it might sound crazy to y'all, but once upon a time, there was no such thing as street cred. You know, as far as in the hip hop world goes, there was no such thing as street cred. You know, your street cred was based off of your craft, your connection to the community, the things that you were saying, your dedication to the craft. Like people saw that in you, and that's where your street cred came from in hip hop. You know, once upon a time, everybody were characters. Like, I remember when I read an article about Too Short, and he was like, yo, Too Short is a character. Too Short is not Todd Shaw. Too Short is a character. And it was always like that. Easy-E, a character. You know what I mean? And the thing about it is that, like, I've never met Todd Shaw. I've never met Eric Wright. I've never met O'Shea Jackson. You know? Have no idea what type of people they are. Have no idea who they are as individuals. I only know the characters that they portray in hip hop, which is Too Short, Ice Cube. And at that juncture in time, there was never really an issue of street credibility because everyone knew that they were being characters. And, you know, I myself personally think that changed with DJ Quick. To jump ahead a little bit, I really think that changed with DJ Quick because he was really the first dude that I know of who took that gang banging stuff nationwide. Like, before DJ Quick came in the game and went on the road, you know, everybody wanted to be Crips. Crips spread and expanded. I think DJ Quick had a lot to do in how he got down and repped and banged. Shit, he came to Milwaukee and kicked a nigga in the face on stage because, motherfucker cats thought that, Bloods and Almighty was affiliated. So they tried to gang bang and got kicked in the face. I think he ended up suing DJ Quick. You know what I mean? But that's just a jump ahead, you know what I mean? NWA were not gangster rappers. NWA to me was on the same page as Public Enemy. They were just talking about things from a different vantage point. You know what I mean? Public Enemy was talking about things more from the vantage point of an observer, while NWA were talking about the same things from the vantage point of a participant. But to me, they were talking about the same thing. They were one and the same. And NWA, all of them, they said, this is not us. We are reporting and rapping about things that we've seen, not things that we've done. And then DJ Quick came in the game, and he, and then I think that the Keeping It Real era really started with Studio Gangster era with Eazy-E, 187, Dr. Dre Killer. And I was uneasy about that conversation back then because in real time I knew that a lot of these guys were not gangsters. They were artists. And I felt like the Keeping It Real argument was a way to, like, impeach upon artistic license. You can't rap about it unless you did it. Like, huh? You know, but then, like I said, the keeping it real era, the studio gangster era started. And next thing you know, the term street cred didn't even exist then. You know, but I'm gonna say street cred was up to question. And a lot of guys who openly proclaimed that they were not a part of that life had to, you know, at least let people think that they were a part of that life. Like in the case of Ice Cube. Or, you know, immerse themselves in that life in the case of Tupac and Mac Dre. Schoolie D, you know what I'm saying? And then that just became the criteria. And, you know, reflecting that back to today, I come to understand that, like, even back then, like, you had the time when people could play characters, and then you had the time when people had to keep it real. You know, at that time, the only person that was keeping it real was Ice-T. And he was speaking from the perspective of a person who did it already. He wasn't even endorsing it. He was, you know, like the OG player who would tell you the pitfalls of what you're trying to do. And if you listen to him, you know, you'll be better at it, but he ain't necessarily saying go do it. So he was considered real all the time. But everybody else, you know, they went through their little phases. And even on the East Coast, you just had to be real all of a sudden. You had Onyx, you had Naughty by Nature, you had what they call it, Almighty LSO. And all of a sudden, you just had to be real all of a sudden. But the thing of it with me is that, you know, a lot of these guys, especially like you talking about like the Ice Cubes, the Snoop Dogs, the Dr. Dre's, the, you know, upper crust of the gangster rap stratosphere, you know, right before you get down to the Spice Ones and you know, all these other guys. The thing about it, like the MC8s, the DJ Quicks, you know, all of these guys, they have such big gaps in time when they don't have to be gangsters. Like, they rich. You talking about the situation, somebody made a post about Beyonce with her church girl song, talking about why is all these women out here teaching these girls to be thoughts when they happily married. You know what I mean? If Beyonce can be seen 6 times a year and she's controlling the circumstances through which she is being seen, oh shit, then she can be seen 6 times a month on her doing her thought thing, but the other days of the year she's doing her family thing. The same thing with Snoop Dogg, pimping Snoop Dogg. Been married pretty much his whole career. T.I. been married pretty much his whole career. You know what I mean? So the thing becomes an issue of exposure. You know? Ice Cube can show his face, like I said, 6 times a year with a bandana on his head and a khaki suit and get that gangster persona across. But the other days of the year, sometimes he might wear a suit. Most of the time he might just be walking around in sweats. You know? I don't know how much money Jay-Z got, really. But I do know that he probably got 1 pair of comfortable slippers that he slide his feet into when he get home. Or he got a pair of comfortable slippers for every home that he has. And when he decides that he wants to get comfortable, he gonna slide them slippers on. I don't think he got a pair of slippers for every day of the year. And that's where, the difference is between old school and new school. Because old school, like I said, they only have to be in character so many days a year. The only time they have to be in character is on stage, da 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 da. But nowadays you got Instagram, Facebook, people have to be in character, like the Undertaker. You know what I'm saying? The Undertaker was never out of character. Every time you see the Undertaker, he the Undertaker until he retired. He did not allow himself to be seen as the Undertaker. Anybody else other than the Undertaker. Pictures were taken and all that stuff, but nah. Mark Calloway is the Undertaker. He didn't become Mark Calloway until his career was over. And that's the thing. And a lot of these guys nowadays, they're playing characters. But the only thing about it is that they're not ever able to be out of character. Ever. I don't think there would ever be a time, where the baby can just give a cat a pass. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what, dog? I ain't on that today, man. I'm gonna go. No. He gotta scrape them, talk crazy, and video it. I don't think there could ever be a time when you see Quavo looking like his dreads ain't been done in 2 weeks. You can't see Quavo looking like Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne can look like that because that's him. Because he's in character. He's like the Undertaker. He's always in character. That's just him. But most of these guys are in character. And they don't have the luxury to, get out of character. And that's how, the street credibility thing and all of that stuff falls into play. The cat could be just walking down the street with his lady, and as soon as somebody pop up on him with a camera, he got to be in character. As a matter of fact, he got to almost walk down the street with all his jewelry on, with security, and be in big boy status, even when he's not doing anything, even when he's not earning any revenue or anything like that. Everything has to be news. Everything has to be in character. But like I said, as you get higher and higher up the stratosphere and higher up them levels, them times when you have to be in character becomes less and less. Or at least in theory they should. But nowadays, these guys are spending so much time in character with this street cred thing that we'll never find out. We'll never find out with Pop Smoke, what trajectory he reached. We'll never find out with this young dude who just died. We'll never find out with Triple Extension. We'll never find out with Mo 3. We'll never find out because they were so immersed in the character that we forced them to be, or we encouraged them to be, that, a lot of us don't know the real Dolph. We don't know these guys. They're just characters. We don't know the real Nipsey Hussle. None of them guys, because every time we saw them, they were in character. So we have to understand, like I understood back in the 80s, that a lot of this stuff that's going on, there's no such thing as street cred. There's only the art. We don't expect Sylvester Stallone to mow down a whole village, Keanu Reeves is not on the warpath right now. You know what I'm saying? He is not on the warpath with the Russian mob right now. He is sitting at home, probably with his favorite slippers on. You know what I mean? And we gotta allow our rappers and performing artists the luxury of not having to live up to this street cred thing because it's all art. And the only way that we have freedom of speech is if we look at it as only speech, is if we look at it as only art. There was a time when they used to ask, is this stuff really like this in the ghetto? They were fascinated. Is it really like that? You know? So the question went from, is it really like this in the ghetto, to, are you really like this? Is this really what you do? And a lot of us know that, you know, even if it is what you do, if you're out there in that world every day trying to get that bag up, there's really limited opportunities for you to do the things that you say you do. Unless you're trying to live up to the character. If you allow them lines to be blurred and the person gets lost in the character that's trying to be portrayed, then you already know what's going to happen because the story has been written a million times. I hope you guys have gotten something from this. Once again, my name is Kamseen Khan. Be blessings and be blessed. One.